For just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line through a land so wide and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. Westward from the Davis Strait, 'tis there it was said to lie, the sea route to the Orient for which so many died, seeking gold and glory, leaving weathered, broken bones, and a long forgotten, lonely cairn of stones. For just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line through a land so wide and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. 3 centuries thereafter, I take passage over land in the footsteps of brave Kelso, where his sea of flowers began, watching cities rise before me, then behind me sink again. This tardiest explorer driving hard across the plain.
Alrighty, sorry I am late, you guys. I'm very, very late. I'm almost an hour late. It's my bad. I totally didn't sleep through my alarm, but actually, I woke up to my alarm, and then I think I snoozed it, and then I kept sleeping. So, here we are. An hour late. My bad. Blech. Viking metal. Am on Amarth. Runes to my memory. Let me search this up. I know, dude. I'm lazy as hell. Lazy as book. That's me. Ooh. I like it. All right, I added it to the queue, Tony. I added it to the queue. Ooh. I am a full. I'm several versions behind. I need to install this update. Yes, English. Yes, installing that folder. Next, install. How's everybody doing today? On this fine Sunday. On game day. Is anyone watching football today? I don't even know who's playing. All I know is that the Seahawks aren't playing. Dude, I could totally get down with like this stuff and like listen to this far more frequently. 100% I could. Symphony X, The Odyssey 2, 24-minute song, but probably your favorite prog rock metal song ever. No football for you? Too busy cleaning. The Odyssey. Holy shit, it is a 24-minute song. I'll add that to the queue. Screw it. Why not? Alrighty, guys. We are looking at some audiobook stuff today. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. You're a Buy fan now, but you've not paid a damn minute of attention for years. Go Hawks, go Vikes. I would say if I had to choose as my second team, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I haven't paid attention for like I haven't paid much attention for a long time. Like the last time I was like actively paying attention to what was going on in the NFL was when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl. That was like almost 10 years ago at this point, wasn't it? It's been a long time. They should have had 2 Super Bowl wins in a row. Should have been that. But, anyways. Yeah, we're looking on, hold on, why is that not checked as well? Actually, let's uncheck these, because no way we're getting those. How long is this book? All right, let's switch on over. So for anyone who doesn't know, ACX is the platform which you can submit auditions to read audiobooks for Audible. Lot of audition stuff opportunities going up all the time. Let's go over here. So currently I'm filtering. There's a lot of different compensation ranges. Royalty share plus, which I'm not 100% sure what plus does, but anywhere between $50 to $100 per finished hour, all the way up to $400, between $1,000 per finished hour. I can almost guarantee you that the number of people that are actually getting $400 to $1,000 per finished hour is incredibly minimal. That said, 50. So when it says per finished hour, PFH stands for per finished hour. Per finished hour is also. Let me know if I'm dropping any frames, guys. I think I am streaming at 1080p instead of 720p right now. So if things are looking good, great. We'll probably be looking good today since we're not going to be like gaming, I would imagine. So there's not going to be that extra tax on the GPU that's doing all the processing, or I should say encoding. But per finished hour means for every hour that of a book that is read and finished as far as the editing goes, though that is what per finished hour means. So it may take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete to complete a 1 hour of a book. So per finished hour, if you're doing $50 to $100 per finished hour, let's assume it's on the low end, $50 per finished hour, 2 hours to every finished hour, $25 an hour. It's not great, but it's not awful. It kind of just sits in the mid-range, but it is kind of like the lowest of the ranges as far as like these are artists, or not artists, but authors who probably need more, just don't have as much money to spend on having their book turned into an audiobook. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Holy moly. So the only thing I'm filtering by right now is they want a male, compensation $50 to $100 per hour. Most recent. I mean, you can see like there's 87 titles that are up here, and people are like posting more books like on this, like every week. It's like a new list, pretty much. No, we're not gonna worry about that right now. See, the music part of this song I can vibe with. I do not care for much screaming in my music. Screaming in my music is not my go-to. It's not really my thing, personally. I've never been able to understand like the appeal to it personally. I'm not sure what it is. I prefer there to be like more of a melody to like the voice itself. I gotcha. I'm liking like the actual like flow of the instruments. Like it sounds good. I'm just not a big fan of. I think we're probably gonna pass on this one just because I'm not a big fan of the vocals. Clean vocals? Bet. We'll listen to it. Okay, there was one thing that I wanted to rule out, though. Genre. Okay, cool. I want to specifically exclude erotica and sexuality. I don't want to read that stuff. I really don't want to read that stuff. Okay, so what do we got? We got, Deathriser of Darkwood from the Ashes. Is this like the first book in a series? It is. Alright, we'll zoom in on this so you guys can get a better see on things. After botching a resurrection spell, the kingdom's greatest wizard hitches a ride in Terra's head. Terra never thought paying attention in her Deathriser classes was a big deal. After flunking her midterms, her mom finally put her foot down and grounds Tara. That doesn't stop her from sneaking out to the Summer Cloud Fair one night with her friends. In a rush to beat her parents home the night of the fair, Tara witnesses the incineration of the kingdom's greatest wizard. Thinking she's about to become a hero, she attempts a basic resurrection spell from class, completely forgetting one of the most important rules: there needs to be a body. After Aridon's consciousness moves into Tara's head, she learns about the true evil behind his death and realizes the new roommate in her mind is the least of her problems. From the author of Eos Dawn series, dystopian trilogy, and Thieves of Joy, psychological cyberpunk romance, comes a fun adventure story in a fantastic new universe. A ya fantasy perfect for cozy day in. Oh no, you're good. My bad, didn't realize it was too loud. Male or female, gender neutral. Character young adult, accent not specified, vocal style storyteller. Want to hear sexy voice? You're not getting it. Alright, let's download the script. See what we got. Alright, so we got this. Let's go here. Let's zoom way the hell in. I think I'm actually going to do this. I kind of want it to be on this side, so I'm going to move this over there, and then I'm going to take Audacity and move it over here. Audacity, where did you go? There you are. Please read each of the following 3 excerpts/samples. Here, I'm gonna grab my empty apple juice bottle and refill it with water, because I've been using that as a water bottle as well. So, give me one sec, guys. I will be right back. I'm gonna turn up the tunes for a sec.
Journey has begun. When our eyes meet once more, there will be peace. The taste of your lips, the warmth of your touch, hugging forever, 2 souls as one. Like forever that my eyes have been denied. Home, I'm dreaming of home. I've been 20 years away from all I ever knew. To return would make my dream come true. Of sorrow have stolen all my years. I miss the rolling hills of
come true. I vibe with this, bro. This is nice. I like this. Bro, that sound that it's making there, that kind of horn in the background, it reminds me of like I was about to say Final Fantasy. I mean, maybe Final Fantasy as well, but I was thinking not Soul Calibur. Why am I spacing on the name of the franchise? Fire Emblem. That's what I'm thinking of. Those horns in the background make me think of Fire Emblem. Anyways, okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. An incredibly important aspect of anything having to do with your voice is staying hydrated, because your voice is a muscle just like any other part of your body, and when you get dehydrated, not like when you're not drinking enough water, you'll get like spasms of your muscles somewhere. Could be on your leg, could be like in your arm, in your face, whatever. Like a muscle will start kind of just doing small spasms. That's essentially like my throat doesn't start to spasm, but it becomes practically unusable. I can't control it in the way that I normally do. So, if you're ever doing any work with your voice, generally speaking, the moment you wake up, it is a very, very, very good idea to start your day by drinking a very, very big gulp of water. And you should continue to drink water as time goes on. That's just a good life lesson in general. You don't have to be a voiceover artist or anything to do that. It's just a good life lesson in general. Anyways, all right. So, please read each of the following 3 excerpts and samples. Sample 1. Tara pokes her flatbread, which is gone cold, throwing out. That's great, Trev. Trevitt shoves a plump forkful of noodles in his massive mouth, smacking down with a slurp. Alright. We're going to pause this and we're going to give this a shot here. This is our friend. This is our friend here. I apologize if that's going to be an obnoxious sound for you guys. I imagine it will be. But this is how I go about dealing with mistakes that I make. If I make a mistake and I need to go back and read something, I immediately go. And if I try to read it again and I make a second mistake, and if I try to read it again, make a third mistake, and so on and so forth. That way I know exactly where the mistakes are happening and exactly what I need to cut out to make sure that I'm getting down to where I need to be. Editing before I bought one of these dog clickers was the most tedious thing in the world. Now, it's a lot easier. A lot easier. So, we're going to try this out. Actually, before we jump into that, I am going to, let's go here. There was a parachute company in World War II that used clickers. What do parachutes have to do with clickers? Or was that like, I'm trying to think what you would be using that for. What would a parachute company be using clickers for? Here we go. I have crap in my eyes. Sorry. To find themselves in comms once landed. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, so let me go here. Actually, no. There we go. Desktop, voiceover. Here we go. We're actually going to do a little bit of a warm-up here first. Kind of get our diction up and running. Get our diction going. Diction drills. Here we are. This is what I'm looking for. This is another thing that's really valuable that people can do. Helps with just speaking in general. Some diction drills. What do we got? Yes. Close. All right. So, number 1. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Rory the Warrior and Roger the Warrior were reared wrongly in a rural brewery. Something like that. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him in. Judge not that ye not be judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. She makes a proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee a proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper cup of coffee and a proper cup of coffee and a proper coffee. Fuck. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper. Fuck me. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper Fuck. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee and a proper copper coffee cup. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. That one's not all that bad. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. It's a little bit more difficult the faster you say it, but I guess that's kind of the point. It's all diction drills. You're trying to... I have a problem with this. Like, I've listened back to a lot of different recordings that I've done over the time. When I read, I have a tendency to blend words together in the same way that I do when I'm just talking in general conversation. I did it right there. I just did it right there. I said talking in general, instead of saying talking in general conversation, I said talking in general conversation. It's like, there's a lot of like small mannerisms that you don't realize that you're doing until it's pointed out to you that you're doing them. And then once you're like made aware of what you should be doing, that's when it becomes more clear what you are doing wrong and what needs to change. So speaking with diction is something that I need to work on personally. Speaking with diction is something that I could definitely improve upon in a big way. Especially if I'm going to be doing stuff for audiobooks. Because you can't have people not understanding what you're saying. I imagine most people would. I imagine that most people would. And I'm kind of being exaggerated in the way that I am speaking right now for the sake of practicing my diction and warming up the muscles that are responsible for creating that diction. But I digress. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. What noise annoys a noisy oyster? A noisy noise annoys a noisy oyster. MIT researchers in 2013 found that this to be the most difficult diction drill. Can you speak it quickly 4 or 5 times? Padkid poured Padkid poured curd pulled cold. 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 Padkid poured curd. Padkid poured curd. Padkid poured curd pulled cold. Padkid poured curd pulled cold. Padkid poured curd pulled cold. The clumsy kitchen clock click-clacked. 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 The leaf police dismisseth us. Dismisseth is a difficult one for me to say for whatever reason. The leaf police. Fuck me, man. The leaf police dismisseth us. 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 The leaf police dismisseth. The leaf police dismisseth us. The leaf police dismisseth. The leaf police dismisseth us. The leaf police dismisseth us. That's a rough one. The leaf police dismisseth us. The leaf police dismisseth us. The leaf police dismisseth us. And the point of these is not, again, it's not to perfect them. It's not to say them flawlessly. It's simply just to loosen up and work the muscles in your face and mouth that are responsible for creating those sounds and pronouncing those syllables. Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter, so Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter butter better. That one's not difficult for me. Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter, so Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter butter better. That one's easy for me. Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter, so Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter butter better. You know New York, you need New York, you know you need New York. You know New York, you need New York, you know you need you know New York, you need New York, you know you need you New You know New York, you need New York, you know you need unique New York, unique New York, New York unique. Fuck me, man. You know New York, you need New York, you know you need unique. You know New York, you need New York, you know you need unique New York. Unique New York, New York unique. New York unique, New York unique, New York unique. Unique New York, unique New York. You know New York, you need New York, you know you need unique New York, unique New York, New York unique. Which honestly, as a statement, I don't really think that's true. New York, I've been there once, and it's a cool tourist attraction. I would fucking hate living in New York City. Now, maybe I don't know anything else about the state of New York, but I know that New York City, that ain't my vibe. That ain't it. Alrighty. These particular headphones, they're closed back, and honestly, I think I do need to get I have an open back pair of headphones, but not one that is like integrated with all of the sound stuff that I have right now. I need to get a pair of open back headphones that I can use for streaming, because closed back in particular, I can't really hear myself all that well when I'm talking, so I don't know what volume level I'm speaking at. So anytime I'm recording and I have these on, I will purposely remove one of these so that I can better hear myself and know what I'm sounding like. All right, one more drink of water, then we'll launch into reading this. Launch into recording it. All right, let's scooch over just a tad bit. There we go. Reposition this here. I'm also going to turn the bass levels down just a tad bit so that I can... Actually, I'm going to unmute myself in a stream so that I can hear what I sound like when I'm talking like this. Checking, 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1. Checking 1. Okay. I'm gonna call that good. Remember, like I said, you don't really want the audio that you're producing to sound quite as... You want it to sound a little more close to the neutral range than having like the low range amplified in the way that I normally do for when streaming. All right. Let's give this a shot. I'm going to pause the music. And here we go. Actually, check 1, 2. I need to make sure that this is working on Audacity, which it looks like it is. Actually, playback device. I need to change that so you guys can hear. Headset, earphone. Let's have this playback to that. Actually, check 1, 2. I need to make sure that this is working on Audacity, which it looks like it is. All right, cool. You guys can hear that. Tara pokes at her flatbread, which has gone cold, throwing out a, "That's great, Trev." Trevitt shoves a plump forkful of noodles in his massive mouth, smacking down with a slurp. Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. He got the portals up for me this morning. He got the portals up for me this morning, but I'm supposed to try maintaining them myself when he goes on lunch break. I'm pretty nervous, but I'm excited. If you have any issues with your portal to or from the hub, I'm sorry in advance. Another laugh this time. If you have any issues with your portal to or from the hub, I'm sorry in advance. If you have any issues with your portal to or from the hub, I'm sorry in advance. Another laugh this time, sending a chunk of noodles across the table. Tara groans, wiping her cheek with a shudder. You gonna eat your potatoes? Trevitt asks, reaching his slimy fingers across the table and swiping a sample of potato. Before he can get it into his huge mouth, Tara smacks his hand. "Don't touch my food!" His wide grin drooped. Sorry, I just wanted to try it, and you didn't seem to want it. Who's to say what I want and don't want? I was still eating. Tara picks up her tray, storming off and dumping her food in the trash before leaving with the Death Rising Island again. Who's to say what I want and don't want? I was still eating. Tara picks up her tray, storming off and dumping her food in the trash before leaving for the Death Rising Island again. Kind of want to go back through that. Anytime I want to make some type of like long change, or if there's going to be a weird gap, I'll click it once and then hold it for a little bit of time before I release it. So, and then, or sometimes I'll just do this. That way I know, like, what the fuck? I changed something. Also, I'm going to make sure. Okay, cool. Alrighty. I'm just going to reread this all together. Sorry, I felt a burp coming on. Tara pokes at her flatbread, which has gone cold, throwing out a, "That's great, Trev." Trevitt shoves a plump forkful of noodles in his massive mouth, smacking down with a slurp. Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. He got the portals up for me this morning, but I'm supposed to try to maintain them myself. Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. He got the portals up for me this morning, but I'm supposed to try maintaining them myself when he goes on lunch break. I'm pretty nervous, but I'm excited. If you have any issues with your portal to or from the hub, I'm sorry in advance. Another laugh, this time sending a chunk of noodle across the table. Tara groans, wiping her cheek with a shudder. "You gonna eat your potatoes?" Trevitt asks. "You gonna eat your potatoes?" I'm gonna kind of make that chewy. "You gonna eat your potatoes?" Trevitt asks, reaching his slimy fingers across the table and swiping a sample of potato. I'll try that one more time. "You gonna eat your potatoes?" Trevitt asks, reaching his slimy fingers across the table and swiping a sample of potato. Before he can get it to his huge mouth, Tara smacks his hand. "Don't touch my food!" His wide grin drooped. "Sorry, I just wanted to try it, and you didn't seem to want it." "Who's to say that I don't want it?" "Who's to say what I want and don't want? I was still eating." Tara picks up her tray, storming off and dumping her food in the trash before leaving for the Death Rising island again. I'm okay with that. Alrighty. Tara throws up her arms with a bewildered half snarl, half groan. "Oh yeah, no big deal." Tara throws up her arms with a bewildered half snarl, half groan. "Oh yeah, no big deal, just a casual conversation. You're telling me he kidnapped my little sister?" Tara throws up her arms with a bewildered half snarl, half groan. "Oh yeah, no big deal, just a casual conversation. You're telling me he kidnapped my little sister? I'm gonna need a little more to work off of." "There's a big hill with a tower in it." "There's a big hill with a tower on it. She's in there. You can't just waltz into the tower, though." Fedre? Is that how you say that? "There's a big hill with a tower on it. She's in there. You can't just waltz into the tower, though. Fedre has basically turned that place into home base. It's surrounded by enchanted Draxi and pissed off Marrow Elves. So help me get in." Tara can hear Eridonis? I think that's how you say that. Tara can hear Eridonis make some sort of snide comment, but she can't make it out over Garidians. Tara can hear Eridonis make some sort of snide comment, but she can't make it out over Garidian's laughter. "You might not be that bright, but at least you've got good jokes," Garidian says. "You might not be that bright, but at least you've got good jokes," Garidian says, leaning casually against the wall. "We can check if he's telling the truth. If he is, we'll tell the council. We'll do everything we can to escalate things and get her home safe." "We can check if he's telling the truth. If he is, we'll tell the council. We'll do everything we can to escalate things and get her home safe." "How do we see if he's telling the truth?" Tara asks under her breath. "I can hear you I'm not sure who's saying this. How do we see if he's telling the truth? Tara asks under her breath. I can hear you, tree girl, he says in a sing-song voice. I don't care, she sings back, rolling her eyes. How do we see if he's telling the truth? Tara asks under her breath. I can hear you, tree girl, he says. How do we see if he's telling the truth? Tara asks under her breath. I can hear you, tree girl, he says in a sing-song voice. I don't care, she sings back, rolling her eyes. Alright, we're gonna have that be the gap between sample 2 and sample 3. Zay, please. He needs help. Where are Mom and Dad? Tara asks. Gone. They're at the neighbors for some potluck thing. She watches Kieran with eerie calmness. Gone. Gone. They're at the neighbors for some potluck thing. She watches Kieran with eerie calmness. What happened to him? Long story. Illusion course. He's in a lot of pain and we don't know what to do. I don't like that. Long story. Illusion course. He's in a lot of pain and we don't know what to do. We need someone to cleanse it. Why can't Aston do it? Hold on, I'm gonna stop there for a sec. Stop there for a second. Why does it have to be like up on that? Excuse me, sorry. Alright, let me just drag this all the way back. Okay, what do we got here? Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. He got the portals up for me this... If you have any issues with... Another laugh this... Anyways. Tara pokes at her flat... Anyways. If you have any issues with your... If you have any issues with your portal... I'm just gonna chop this stuff down for now. I'm gonna change up the music a little bit though. What do we got here? There we go. Do that. There. Boom. Changing up the music a little bit while we get this editing done. Tara groans. Tara groans, wiping her cheek. When I was a young boy, you gonna eat your potato? You gonna eat your potato? Before he can get... You gonna eat your potatoes? Wait a minute, I ended up doing like this whole... I ended up doing this whole like bit over again, didn't I? Tara pokes at her flat... Tara pokes at her flat... Okay, yeah, I did. Tara pokes at... Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. But I'm supposed to... He got the portals... Anyways. Make that... Alright, you need to turn this down a little bit so I can hear this better. I'm gonna kind of make that chewy. You gonna eat your potatoes? You gonna eat your potatoes? His wide grin droop. His wide grin droop. Who's to say what I want? Who's to say that I don't? Tara Tara picks up her tray, storming off and dumping her food in the trash before leaving. Tara throws up her arms with a bewildered... Oh, okay, that's the end of that first one. Island again. In that case, I'm just going to make this a silent section. Let's mute all of that. Tara throws. Okay, so let's chop that down. There's a big hill with a tower. Oh, shoot. There's a big hill. Alright, there we go. It took me a while to, like, get up to speed in the way that I wanted to be with, like, getting this stuff. Like, editing this stuff down. Like, it's not like I'm moving insanely fast, but you can see that I'm, like, I'm at least somewhat snapped. Actually, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this, make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Not that it really matters, because it's just audio waves. But I digress. Tara can hear Eridonis? I think that's that. Tara can hear... You might not be that bright. You might not be that bright, but at least you've got good jokes, Iridian says. We can check if he's telling the truth. We'll do everything we can to escalate things and get her home. We can check if he's telling the truth. We can check if he's telling the truth. If he is, we'll tell the council. We'll do everything we can to escalate things and get her home safe. How do we see if he's... I'm not sure. I can hear you. How do we see if he's telling... Pretty sure I botched this part pretty hard here. If I'm not mistaken. I think I chopped that out. How do we see if he's telling the truth? How do we see if... Okay, that's part of it. So we chop this out as well. How do we see if he's telling the truth? Right? Zay, please. He needs help. Where are Mom and Dad? Tara asks. Gone. They're at the neighbor. She watches Kieran. Gone. 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 I think that needs to be a bit more of a casual... I mean, I don't know all the context of the scene, but I feel like that needs to be a little more casual in its delivery. Gone. Gone. That one's not bad. It's not great either. Why can't... Honestly, I think I'm just going to scratch all of this right here and just re-record this section. I mean, I never even finished it, so yeah, we're just going to re-record that. That's alright. Water check. Water break. Oh boy. Okay. Let's pause the music. Alright, here we go. Zay, please. He needs help. Where are Mom and Dad? Tara asks. Gone. They're at the neighbors for some potluck thing. She watches Kieran with eerie calmness. What happened to him? Long story. Illusion course. He's in a lot of pain and we don't know what to do. We need someone to cleanse it. Why can't Aston do it? She flicks a hand in her brother's direction. Why can't Aston do it? Why can't Aston do it? She flicks a hand in her brother's direction. He hesitates. I switched to elemental. Zayla's mouth splits into a wide grin. No freaking way. Mom and Dad are gonna flip. Okay, whatever. Tara dismisses her. Can you help him or not? Hold on, where did I just... Okay, hold on. Why can't Aston do it? Yeah, I'm just gonna chop all that out here real quick. Why can't Aston... Why can't Aston do it? She flicks a hand in her brother's direction. He hesitates. I switched to elemental. Zayla's... He hesitates. I switched to elemental. Zayla's mouth splits into a wide grin. No freaking way. Mom and Dad are going to flip. Okay, whatever. Tara dismisses her. Can you help him or not? Please, Zay. Zayla steps closer to Kieran, her eyes scanning him, and stops on his face, his eyelids swollen entirely. Zayla steps closer to Kieran, her eyes scanning him and stopping on his face, his eyelids swollen entirely shut now. She nods. Bring him to my room. Thank you, Tara says softly. Thank you. Thank you, Tara says softly, picking up her best friend with the help of her brother. They carry him into their sister's room, nearly setting him on her bed when she crows at them. Wait, what? They carry him into their sister's room, nearly setting him on her bed when she crows at them. Ew, no, he's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. Tara looks at her sister in disgust and disbelief before rolling her eyes and gently lowering Kieran to the ground. Move. Zayla shoos her... Ew, no, he's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. Tara looks at her sister in disgust and disbelief before rolling her eyes and gently lowering Kieran to the ground. Move. Zayla shoos her older siblings away as she sits beside Kieran. She places her hands carefully on his chest, closing her eyes as she takes a deep, soft breath. Move. Zayla shoos her older siblings away as she sits beside Kieran. She places her hand carefully on his chest, closing her eyes as she takes a deep, soft breath. Probably call that good there. So also, guys, make sure to let me know, like, I'm thoroughly aware that this is, generally speaking, not, this is generally just not a, wait, what? Oh, join clips. Okay, there we go. Here, I'm gonna mute. Wait, let me see how this sounds. Zay, please. I'll do that. Sorry, excuse me. Join clips. Why can't Aston do? I totally lost the thought process that I had right there. Totally lost my train of thought that I was saying. Oh well. If it's important, it'll come back to me. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. let me know, guys, if this... I imagine that this is probably a pretty, like... not tedious process to watch, but it's probably not the most, like, just straight up entertaining. So, if this is completely boring for you guys, please let me know. But this is kind of like the idea that I had for some of the content that I was going to be doing. I would be doing some of it as, like, audiobook auditions, and then I would be doing the rest as, like, me actively reading a book out loud to you guys. But we'll see if this is something that we want to do. Zayla steps closer. Zayla steps closer. Thank you. His eyelids swollen. Zayla steps. Thank you. Bring him to my room. Thank you. Thank you. Bring him to my room. Thank you. They carry him into their sister's room, nearly setting him. They carry him into their sister. They carry him. There we are. Shop that. They carry. You know. Move. Zayla shoot. Tara looks at her sister in disgust. You know. You know. He's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. You know. He's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. Tara looks at her sister in disgust and disbelief. Tara looks at her sister in disgust. Tara looks at her sister. I think I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to chop this out. I like that first take more, honestly. They carry him. You know. He's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. Tara looks at her sister in disgust and disbelief before rolling her eyes and gently lowering Kieran to the ground. Move. Zayla shoos her. Move. I need to slap this on the end there too. Here, I'm going to pause this for a sec. Caleb Anderson. And what's the name of the book again? Deathriser. 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 So, Caleb Anderson. Deathriser. Caleb Anderson. Deathriser. So we'll do this, we'll join these clips, and then we'll zoom all the way out. And then we're going to, what is the move tool again? I don't remember what the move tool is. Okay, I can just deselect and do that. Okay, so move this over here to the front. I'll move this there, snap that to that. Then we're going to go this way. And we're going to, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that that's no more, how big is that gap? Actually, I'm going to get rid of that. Join clips. Caleb Anderson. Deathriser. Tara pokes at her flat. Okay, let's do that, and then come over here. I don't think we need this gap to be as big as it is. I think it's like a 10-second gap. This really only needs to be like 5 seconds max. So 16, do that. 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4-second gap is good enough. That's a good enough gap. That's all right. That's all right. This gap is huge. 1, 2, 3. And let's trim this back just a little bit. There we go. Her eyes. Mute that. Rolling her eyes. Then we got Zay, please. Alright. And then I'm actually just going to slap on the end here a little bit of just extra buffer. We're going to do this. I'm going to go like that. And then we're going to join the clips. So whenever you're like doing recording for stuff like this, what you generally want to do, like at the very beginning, you say your name. It's called a slate. You say your name, and occasionally you'll say like the name of the you'll say like the name of the project or whatever that you're auditioning for, and like what the script is or something like that. That's it. That's it. You just say your name, and then you read what you're supposed to read. And if it's like a shorter script, you'll do like a few different takes. If it's something that's a little bit longer like this, obviously like you have enough room to work with the different when it's a longer audition script, obviously you have more words to kind of express your range in. And so in doing that, you don't really have to do multiple takes, because they are like, I was given three different kind of scenes to play out there, which allowed me to express things in different ways to a certain degree. And actually, it's probably a good idea for me to listen back to this just to make sure I'm semi-satisfied with what I'm listening to. But that's what we would do here. So we're gonna listen back through this. It's gonna be a few minutes of me just kind of being quiet and listening. So if that's not your vibe, totally get it, but that is what this process goes back through. If you can't listen back to your own voice and critique it, yeah, you're in the wrong business. All right, here we go. Caleb Anderson, Death Riser. Tara pokes at her flatbread, which has gone cold, throwing out a, "That's great, Trev." Trevitt shoves a plump forkful of noodles in his massive mouth, smacking down with a slurp. Anyways, today's my first day of training with him. He got the portals up for me this morning, but I'm supposed to try maintaining them myself when he goes on lunch break. I'm pretty nervous, but I'm excited. If you have any issues with your portal to or from the hub, I'm sorry in advance. Another laugh, this time sending a chunk of noodle across the table. Tara groans, wiping her cheek with a shudder. "You gonna eat your potatoes?" Trevitt asks, reaching his slimy fingers across the table and swiping a sample of potato. Before he can get it to his huge mouth, Tara smacks his hand. "Don't touch my food!" His wide grin drooped. "Sorry, I just wanted to try it, and you didn't seem to want it." Who's to say what I want and don't want? I was still eating. Tara picks up her tray, storming off and dumping her food in the trash before leaving for the Death Rising island again. Tara throws up her arms with a bewildered half-snarl, half-groan. "Oh yeah, no big deal. Just a casual conversation. You're telling me he kidnapped my little sister? I'm gonna need a little more to work off of." There's a big hill with a tower on it. She's in there. You can't just waltz into the tower, though. Fedre has basically turned that place into home base. It's surrounded by enchanted Draxi and pissed-off Marrow Elves. So help me get in. Tara can hear Eridonis make some sort of snide comment, but she can't make it out over Garidian's laughter. "You might not be that bright, but at least you've got good jokes," Garidian says, leaning casually against the wall. "We can check if he's telling the truth. If he is, we'll tell the council. We'll do everything we can to escalate things and get her home safe." "How do we see if he's telling the truth?" Tara asks under her breath. "I can hear you, tree girl," he says in a sing-song voice. "I don't care," she sings back, rolling her eyes. "Zay, please, he needs help. Where are Mom and Dad?" Tara asks. "Gone. They're at the neighbors for some potluck thing." She watches Kieran with eerie calmness. "What happened to him?" "Long story. Illusion course. He's in a lot of pain and we don't know what to do. We need someone to cleanse it." Why can't Aston do it? She flicks a hand in her... Why can't... Don't know what to do. We need someone to cleanse it. Why can't Aston do it? She flicks a hand in her brother's direction. He hesitates. I switched to elemental. Zayla's mouth splits into a wide grin. No freaking way. Mom and Dad are going to flip. Okay, whatever. Tara dismisses her. Can you help him or not? Please, Zay. Zayla steps closer to Kieran, her eyes scanning him and stopping on his face. His eyelids swollen entirely shut now. She nods. Bring him to my room. Thank you, Tara says softly, picking up her best friend with the help of her brother. They carry him into their sister's room, nearly setting him on her bed when she crows at them. Ew, no, he's all puffy and gross. Set him on the ground. Tara looks at her sister in disgust and disbelief before rolling her eyes and gently lowering Kieran to the ground. Move. Zayla shoos her older siblings away as she sits beside Kieran. She places her hand carefully on his chest, closing her eyes as she takes a deep, soft breath. Oh, shoot. Sorry, my bad. Forgot that I was muted. Welcome on in. Glad to have you here. Minecraft Jesus Gaming Road to 5K Team Fortress 2. What is a... That is a name. That is a mouthful of a name. Things are going well, man. I'm not talking, obviously. I was listening back to my recording. Yeah, the mic was off for a second. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I was listening back to my recording. I'm recording this for an audition on Audible, ideally in the hopes that I will get an opportunity to read this audiobook, or read to make this audiobook. I like that. I just need to normalize the audio. So let's do this. Whoopsies. Cancel. Effect. Volume and compression. Normalize. We'll do -4. There we go. Personally use OBS. Sometimes you get that too. It streams the PC audio, but it doesn't show the mic audio. Oh no, you're good, man. You're good. So anytime I record an audition, and just anytime anyone records an audition, hope you end up getting the role. Hey, I would love to get the role. I think that would be awesome. Appreciate you stopping on in, Charlie Fox. But generally speaking, with this type of stuff, it's just kind of like you send it out and just continue to audition for things, because you never know when stuff like this is gonna. You never know when you're going to get something, so you just continue to send auditions and hope for the best. No, I had it muted. I had it muted so that when I was listening to it, I wasn't interrupting your guys' listening to the audio. I can go back and forth between muting really quick like that. You're good. It wasn't you. It was my end. All right. We're going to go here. We're gonna file, save project as. Jobs clients. ACX. Auditions. 15. What is this called again? Death Rising, I think. Death Riser. That's what it's called. Death Riser. Call this Caleb Anderson, or actually Death Riser _ Caleb Anderson. Alright, there we go. Now file, export audio. Oh, they changed that. Interesting. Oh, well, that's obnoxious. Okay, hold on. Excuse me, sorry. Did this person specifically request it in WAV format? No, MP3 format. Hope you guys... okay, hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you guys continuing to hang out, stopping in, chilling and chatting. Glad to have you guys here with us today. What's going on in your world on this fine Sunday? This is a banger, dude. Hail to the king. Yeah. Go here, put this there. Desktop? No. Yes, desktop. VO. Jobs clients. ACX. Auditions. Deathriser. Deathriser underscore Caleb Anderson. There we go. Save. And... export. Dang, dude, that export's fast. New project. I need to be careful, otherwise my YouTube stream's gonna get suspended because I'm listening to copyrighted music. Matter of fact, let me check. Let me check to see if it did get suspended. Did it get suspended? Are we suspended on YouTube right now? No, we look okay for the moment. We're looking good for the moment. Sleep with one eye open. Alrighty, guys. I think we're gonna move on to another one now. Actually, I'm gonna save this. Save as, browse. Let's go here, 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 here. ACX, auditions. 15, Deathriser. There we go. Close that out. And let's look for another audition that we want to send out, shall we? Okay, so we just did a Deathriser of Darkwood. Immortal Nox, The Lost City. Players disappeared 500 years ago, and no one wants them back. So when Astra Diane respawns in Acer, it's more than a little inconvenient for her porter Xander, who is now a high-ranking member of the church. As the only one in the world who can hand out unlocked skills and respawn at Soulstones, Astra is now a hot commodity for the cities looking to have a war, and the remaining porters who wish to increase their skills. Astra has her own problems, however. She can't log out. Kind of sounds like not Ready Player One, the anime, Sword Art Online. That's what I'm thinking of. Fiction, English, male, adult character, accent, not specified, vocal accent. This project is book 1 of a 4-book series in the lit RPG genre. It's around 50,000 words long. I remind me, guys, I need to actually submit these auditions before. Actually, matter of fact, I should just do that now. I don't know why I didn't do that to start with. All right, upload audition. All right, choose file from computer. Here we are. No, we're not doing job searching stuff right now. We are doing PC. There we go. Desktop, VO, jobs clients, Upwork. Nope, not Upwork. ACX, auditions, Deathriser. Attach that bad boy. Let me go back out here. Let's go to jobs and clients. Wait a minute. No, it's not that. Where did I put this? Is it under general? It's probably under... No, it's not Audacity. No, not to do. Notice of rate increase. There's a document that I have somewhere that I use as kind of like a template for I kind of use it as a template for talking about, or for like letting people know, hey, like, oh, general files, it's probably in here. Nope, it's not in there. Okay, cool. I wonder if I have it. No, it would have been in here. Audition files. Ah, there it is. There it is. There it is. Buyer request Fiverr, general application. Let's move this out here. Let's copy this. Let's open this up and adjust it a little bit. After looking over project, I know that I would be the perfect fit for what you need. Of bringing the world of Deathriser to life. My number one priority. I'll just get rid of this. Any questions or would like to listen to? If you have any questions or would like me to record any other scenes from your book, actually not scenes, sections from your book to ensure I am the right person for the job, feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your time and consideration. Best regards. Call that good. We already have that file attached, and we are going to submit the audition. Hope for the best. Title is accepting. Thank goodness the title is accepting. Immortal Nox, The Lost City. Alright, what do we got here? Audition. Let's download this script. Matter of fact, actually, before I jump into that, I'm going to go back into ACX, and I'm going to move all of these into archived, because I don't think I'm doing anything with them anymore. I don't think I actually ended up recording auditions for most of these, which is a bummer. I totally should have. Yeah, I didn't record auditions for most of them. Actually, hold on. I'm kind of curious. Let me... Here, let me just... No, I already recorded for that one. Let me copy that. Let me go here. Actually, well, okay, hold on. Go here with this, and then I'm going to go back in here and copy this. If I search this, is it still there? Okay, so I'm just going to guess based on the time frame of when I actually like did that like all of those books that I like downloaded the scripts for and didn't record auditions for are done. What? There's a dungeon in my basement. That sounds like something that I am probably not going to read. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Alrighty. So I downloaded that audition, I'm pretty sure. Downloads. Immortal Nox. Holy moly. Alright, I'm going to minimize that for now. Enable editing. There we go. And then I'm going to open up the Word document and Audacity. There you are, Audacity. There we go. So pissed off. You're not the only one refusing to bow down. You're not the only one. So get up. Let's start a riot. Riot. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, guys. I will be back here in a moment. Enjoy the tunes until then. Let's hope the stream doesn't get suspended in the meantime. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I got voices in my head again. Tread carefully, and I don't medicate, it helps me temporarily. I got problems, I got issues, yeah, apparently. Trauma that I'm burying, I think I need some therapy. I battled depression, I'm back with a message. I'm asking the question that if you hate me, why you acting obsessive? I'm past the point of no return, fuck being passive aggressive. I'll brandish a weapon, teach all you motherfuckers a lesson. Yeah, I actually battle
of my demons and shadows and women the deep and the creep in the shallows are lost. Gotta admit that I'm living the life that I've always wanted, but it comes to the cost. They're licking the charms, they're fixing to rip me apart. I'm swimming with sharks, I'm lifting the bar, I'm lifting it into the stars. I like I shot up adrenaline, mixed with some Ritalin. Started a battle, but bitch, I'm gonna finish it. Think you can stop me, not even a little bit. Nowadays, everybody's so sensitive. Picking my words and you picking apart. Tripping on nothing, just get in the car. Ripping and sticking the mark. I'm tipping the charts.
I got enemies trying to get rid of me. Evil tendencies are fucking with me mentally. I got people that don't like me in the industry. I can feel your energy, you were not a friend of me. Cause I have been to places that you never wanna go. Yeah, I got dirt on people, but they act like I don't know. Yeah, I can do some damage, but I'll never rock the boat. All it takes is one post, watch them fall like dominoes.
You never get rid of me, too many enemies whipping my imagery. You know my history, it ain't a mystery. Put every enemy out of the misery. Somebody send me some positive energy. I'm about to go dark, I'm about to go dizzy. Into the darkness, into infinity. Shut you motherfuckers up.
Listening? Stacking every little pretty penny that I'm getting, and I'm never giving in to anybody. Always winning, never kidding when I die. Taking everybody with me. You're never gonna get me, cause you never see a simple. Yeah, my motherfucking God, you're a light yawn. I'm a type on, I'm vibe wrong, it's my on. I'm killing syllables of the letter of Philip. I'm a lyrical, typical super villain. I'm venomous, and I'm never gonna stop until they put me on top of the list.
I can't control the monster any longer that's inside. The pain and sorrow left us solo. Now tomorrow's hard to swallow. Death is calling, so I'm falling. Tightrope walking, now I'm falling down. Like missiles falling from the sky. Come and save us. Pain and sorrow left us solo. Here today, but gone tomorrow.
The pain inside is the fuel that drives this flesh and bone through blood and skies. The death-defying, hypnotizing.
One day you're gonna figure out that everything they taught you was a lie. Watch the world burn.
Also, that's another really just like completely unrelated to, well, not unrelated to this other stuff, but that that's another good way to like get your folk or your muscles in your face warmed up. If you're trying to, instead of doing tongue twisters, you could just do songs that are really fast. Sasha, welcome on in. How you doing? What are we doing? This is what I was doing. Watch the world. Appreciate you stopping in, Sasha. Good to see someone hanging out, chatting it up. Always glad to have new faces around here. Although I feel like, have you stopped in here before? I feel like I recognize the name. I could be wrong. So now we fly and we're free, with freedom for the thunderstorm. Alright, this is what we're gonna do here real quick. We're gonna pause the music for a moment. We're gonna pause. I'm gonna go over here. And we're going to jump to, is it this part? Yeah. Okay, right here. Oh, I have it muted. Shoot. Hold on. One sec.
Cause I have been to places that are fucking
Alright,
with
here we
me
go.
mentally. I got people that don't like me in the industry. I can feel your energy, you were not a friend of me.
Cause I have been to places that you never wanna go, yeah. I got dirt on people, but they act like I don't know, yeah. I can do some damage, but I'll never rock a boat. All it takes is one post, watch them fight like dominoes. Trip on my imagery, you know my history. It is mystery. Put every enemy out of the misery. Somebody send me some positive energy. Magical door, the magical Disney. Into the dark, into infinity. Shut you motherfuckers up.
Stacking every little pretty penny that I'm getting, I'm never giving in to anybody. Always winning, never kidding when I die. Taking everybody with me. You're never gonna get me, cause you never see a sip. Yeah, my motherfucking God, you rely on. I'm a time bomb, I'm the vibe wrong. This is my God. Killing syllables of the little syllable. I'm a lyrical syllable. I'm a venomous. I'm never gonna stop it. Put me on top of the list. Can't control the monster any longer. That's his sword. Song is such a banger, man. Such a good song. Anyways, here we go. Hope everyone's having a good day. Alright, we're gonna launch back into it here. Let's get back into the voiceover stuff. Okay, Immortal Nox audition script. We're gonna do just a quick read through of this, and then we shall do our actual read while we are recording. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Her porter had knifed her. Astra sat on the ground at the soul tree seething. The crowd from earlier had all dispersed. Only empty stalls remained as a witness to her respawn. Thankfully, her death penalty from before had worn off, but now she had a new one, and if she died again while it was active, her stats would take the hit. You killed me. Porters weren't supposed to be able to do that. Porters just followed you around and carried your stuff. Sure, sometimes Xander had done some things outside of the commands she'd actively given, but that was just his AI trying to be helpful. She'd had him focused on casting Cure and Resurrect if she died. She'd never given him any melee skills, since the only melee skill she had was a player scroll with dual wield. She had not leveled up enough. Okay. Kind of just do a quick glance through. Furthermore, he killed her with a simple knife. She heard footsteps approaching, but didn't bother looking. Get up, Xander ordered. Turning to scowl at him, Astra couldn't think of anything to say. Astra got up. This is a long audition script. How many words is this? 1,300 words? I mean, it's not like an insanely long script. It's just a long audition script. But I guess that's kind of... It's for an audiobook, so... Alright. I'm going to turn this down. We are going to get into the read for this. Here we are. Alright. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Her porter had knifed her. Astra sat on the ground at the Soul Stone, seething. The crowd from earlier had all dispersed. Only empty stalls remained as a witness to her respawn. Thankfully, her death penalty from before had worn off. But now, she had a new one. And if she died again while it was active, her stats would take the hit. He killed me! Porters weren't supposed to be able to do that. Porters just followed you around and carried your stuff. Sure, sometimes Xander had done some things outside of the commands she'd actively given, but that was just his AI trying to be helpful. She'd had him focused on casting Cure and Resurrect if she died. She'd never given him any melee skills, since the only melee skill she had was a player scroll with dual wield. Astra had not leveled that up enough to make a skill scroll of her own to give him. If she'd had her menu, she would have been able to check her skill levels and his, but since he'd taken it, she was completely blind. Furthermore, he killed her with a simple knife, which meant that his strength was probably higher than hers. This pulled her ruined armor tighter around her chest. If her armor had been intact, she was sure he wouldn't have been able to do that. She heard footsteps approaching, but didn't bother looking. Of course he knew where she was. She heard footsteps approaching, but didn't bother looking. Of course he knew where she was. Where else would she have been? Get up, Xander ordered. Turning to scowl at him, Astra couldn't think of anything to say. He'd killed her, and while it wasn't permanent, it was indeed painful. If she could just find the menu options to fix that. But she didn't have her menu. He pulled out the knife again.
He pulled the knife out again. I know you don't like dying multiple times in a row. Get up. Astra got up. She tried to control her expression, but her ears were pinned back and her tail lashed. She had no choice. Her skills and teleportation were locked. Even if her teleportation wasn't locked, he had her menu. She couldn't even pull out one of her weapons to defend herself physically. That was the only... She couldn't even pull out one of her weapons to defend herself physically. That was only available through her menu. She died in the Southlands with pruning shears equipped. She couldn't switch weapons. Have there be a gap here for a sec. Would you be reasonable? Astra asked. I need to log out. The whole idea of this was absurd. Would you be reasonable? Astra asked. I need to log out. The whole idea of this was absurd. Would you be reasonable? Astra asked. I need to log out. The whole idea of this was absurd. She was arguing with her porter. I implore you to be reasonable. I implore you to be reasonable, Xander said. Allowing you to leave now is not an option. I intend to have this discussion somewhere more private, but your threat of slaughtering me forced my hand. Forced your hand? Astra shouted. Forced your hand? Astra shouted, throwing her arms up. You knifed me! She turned to walk away, only to be yanked back by her arm. Forced your hand? Astra shouted, throwing her arms up. You knifed me! She turned to walk away, only to be yanked back by her arm. The knife pressed against her throat. She stared into the icy gaze of her NPC. And I will do so again, Xander said, as many times as it takes. You are too dangerous to allow to walk free. Dangerous? She sputtered. None of this made sense. Astra Diane, how many times have you died in this plaza to other immortals? Immortals who were not even targeting you, but merely destroying the city, Xander demanded. At least the knife moved away from her throat, but his grip on her arm was tight. She glanced around. Admittedly, she'd died many times, and so had Xander. She'd had to drag his corpse out of the city to get away from the stupidity. She'd had to drag his corpse out of the city to get away from the stupidity and wait for her death penalty to wear off before she could resurrect him. But wait, that had been fights between players. Maybe from an NPC's point of view, players were immortal, she supposed. Where are the others? She asked. I don't see anyone else here. They've been absent for 500 years, Xander said. However, your reappearance implies that others might follow. Astra stared at him, her tail stilling its furious lashing. Astra stared at him, her tail stilling its furious lashing. 500? But I wasn't gone. Did they update and I didn't know? She wondered. Come, Xander said, releasing her arm and finally stepping back. We will speak further somewhere more private. He started walking without looking back to see if she was following. Astra sighed, feeling incredibly weird about following her porter, but jogged to catch up and walked a step behind and beside. He was leading her to the church. Why not the inn? She asked. And expose more innocents to danger? Should you decide... And expose more innocents to danger should you decide to raise undead? Xander asked. I wouldn't do that, Astra said. And I wouldn't do that, Astra said. And I wouldn't have actually killed you. Considering that this is the first time we've spoken to each other, I can't say I know you well enough to believe that. The look he gave her from the corner of his eye was chilly. She wasn't going to get an apology. She was not going to get an apology for the knifing. Astra folded her arms, muttering curses at him under her breath as she followed him up the white staircase. As they approached the doors to the sanctuary, an acolyte hurried up, blue robes fluttering. "Divine brother," the young elven girl said. "Divine brother," the young elven girl said, "the holy mouth wishes to speak to you." Why did YouTube recommend this? I got no fucking clue, bro. But welcome on in. The algorithm has its ways, my guy. I'm just recording some stuff for auditions, dude. Just recording some stuff for auditions. But hi. Alright. "Divine brother," the young elven girl said. Okay, cool. "The holy mouth wishes to speak to you." Dude, it's so weird. Like, the way that the algorithm works, like, it's very interesting, because a lot of people think, like, oh, like, if I'm making good content, the algorithm is going to push my stuff out. That's not really how the algorithm works. It doesn't, like, look at what content you're making and be like, okay, is this good enough for us to, like, recommend to people? What it'll do instead is it will take the viewer's profile, essentially, like, the person who is watching the content. It'll take their profile and say, based on how, like, a bunch of different factors, like, the specific content creators that person watches, how long they're on specific videos, how frequently they are clicking on specific types of videos. It'll, like, take that viewer's profile and try to decide, like, is this the type of content that this person is going to like? And that's how it, like, tries to recommend things. It's kind of a reverse engineering. It tries to reverse engineer you into content that you think you'll like. Whether or not it's succeeding, I don't know, but you ended up here, so appreciate you stopping by. But anyways, okay, I'm gonna jump back into this here real quick. So I said, as they approached the sanctuary, an acolyte hurried up, blue robes fluttering. "Divine brother," the young elven girl said. Okay. I'm gonna do one more on that. Wait a minute. Divine brother. Okay, let's undo that. Start this record over. "Divine brother," the young elven girl said, "the holy mouth wishes to speak to you." Xander looked from the acolyte to Astra. Coming to a decision, he said, "Heather, take this woman to my apartment. Give her food and clothes." He looked at Astra. "You are to stay there until I return. I'm sure you're aware that I can find you wherever you go in this world." Ears folding down, Astra felt like she'd barely had them up at all today. Ears folding down, Astra felt like she'd barely had them. Ears folding down, Astra felt like she'd barely had them up at all today. "Fine," she growled. She did want some time to herself to think about how to deal with this unusually willful NPC. Turning, she looked to the acolyte and gestured for her to go on. Heather bowed to Xander, then Astra, her confusion evident. Heather bowed to Heather bowed to Xander, then Astra, her confusion evident. I don't like that. Heather bowed to Xander, then Astra, her confusion evident. Taking the lead, she headed into the church, while Xander peeled off in a different direction. "Why do you call him Divine Brother?" Astra asked as they turned right into... "Why do you call him Divine Brother?" Astra asked as they turned right into a long hallway. This was a section she'd never been in before. Previous forays into the church to get her death penalty removed had always ended at the altar. Side halls like this one had been roped off. "Because he is one of the church, the girl said. He has had ample opportunity to become the Holy Mouth, but has declined the honor, remaining a brother within our order. His powers are far beyond ours, so out of respect, we've given him a new title. You are lucky to have a personal audience with him. He does not often speak to others. She folded her hands in her wide sleeves, flushing slightly. Sensing that she could get more information out of this NPC, Astra moved closer. Doesn't talk to others? She asked. Why? He is a lonely soul, Heather said. As one of the cursed ones, he is blessed with eternal youth and skills that know no bounds, but he must watch time. He is a lonely soul, Heather said. As one of the cursed ones, he is blessed with eternal youth and skills that know no bounds, but he must watch time take all except him in return. Heather stopped at the door and gestured. We have arrived. Opening the door, she allowed Astra to enter. I shall bring meal and clothes shortly. Entering, Astra looked around the spacious sitting room. It was nice, but a bit sterile. One wall consisted of shelves stuffed with books and other knickknacks. A boat in a bottle caught her eye, and she approached, touching it with a finger to use. Entering, Astra looked around the spacious sitting room. It was nice, but a bit sterile. One wall consisted of shelves stuffed with books and other knickknacks. A boat in a bottle caught her eye, and she approached, touching it with a finger to use examine. Boat in a bottle, level 200, crafter, Astra Diane. She turned to look around the room again, approaching the couch. Touching it, she used examine. White rosewood how do you pronounce that? I don't know how to pronounce that legitimately. Is it set? Well, okay. Can just do that.
Settee.
Settee. Okay.
Settee.
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 Settee. After Astra Diane. She turned to look around the room again. Alright, we're gonna chop that out and start from there. She turned to look around the room again, approaching the couch. Touching it, she used examine. White rosewood settee, level 100. Crafter, Astra Diane. She frowned. I told him to sell this. She frowned. I told him to sell this. A sigh escaped her. Without her menu, she couldn't even see how much longer she had to wait for the death penalty to wear off. Her tail lashed. That jerk knifed me. That jerk knifed me. Alright, we're going to call that good. We are going to go over here. See, here's the thing for me, and this is the reason that I kind of got into voiceover work to begin with. Like, for a long time, I was doing voiceover work for a lot of YouTube channels and stuff like that, and occasionally I would get, like, advertisement work, but primarily it was, like, YouTube channels. And it was good practice in the sense of, like, it just allowed me to keep my chops up as far as just recording and actively doing that. But the reality is that I started doing voiceover work because I wanted to tell stories. And to be quite honest, all of the stuff that I was recording was dog shit. It was terrible content. It was literally just like, how many scripts can we pump out in a week to then shovel that shit into YouTube so that we're like posting mass volume and occasionally having one of our videos go viral to like farm the views and ad revenue off of it. It was terrible. It was terrible stuff. And like I was starting to get like pissed off anytime I sat down to like record stuff, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I wanted to get into this because I wanted to have fun with storytelling. I wanted to exercise my creativity. This isn't creativity. This is just like essentially voiceover work turned into a 9-to-5 shit job that you hate. Like, and so I stopped doing it, just flat out. Like, I wasn't gonna do it anymore. Obviously there's a lot of, like, there's tons of types of work out there that is, like, not super creative in its nature, which is totally fine, and I'm open to doing that type of stuff. The problem is that, like, there's no, at least for, like, the YouTube side of things, like, there's a lot of, my mind is going in 3 different directions at the same time. I'm gonna back up for a sec. A lot of companies, for example, they make production content for, like, training videos and stuff like that. And those are fantastic for what they are meant to do. They're not very creatively engaging, but that's okay from my perspective. And the reason is because when you're actively doing stuff for a company like that, you are working towards, what's it called? You're even though that type of content is not really creative in its nature, you're doing it for a company. And so there's a certain level of rapport and, I don't want to say prestige, but I can't think of a better word right now, that comes with it. Because, like, if you're working for an established company doing voiceover work for them, there's brand recognition there that helps you develop into what people would be more likely to consider a professional type of expertise. Whereas doing that type of stuff on YouTube, especially for the type of content that I was reading for, none of that would, like, at least in my opinion, I don't think any of that would really be considered all that important from, like, a professional's perspective. Now, granted, most professionals who are looking for voiceover work aren't going to be like, what does this person's resume look like? They're just going to listen to an audition and say, does this person's voice match what I'm looking for? And that's about as far as it'll go. But I digress. I wanted to do stuff that was creatively engaging. I wasn't getting that opportunity. I'm open to doing that type of work, but that work has to have more of that kind of, like, prestige, again, because I can't think of a better word, associated with it. There has to be some level of, like, professionalism behind it, not just shoveling dog shit content into the YouTube algorithm and helping this, like, big machine that where no one gives a shit about what you're making actually matters, you know? Like, I don't want to contribute to that anymore, because I did it for like a year and I was like, nah, I don't like this anymore. I'm done. So I'm not actively making any money from voiceover work, and it's because I stepped away from what I was doing. It was a solid side hustle for me. Like, I was only putting maybe like 10 to 15 hours a month into it, and I was making an extra $500 a month doing that. But I hated it because of the type of content that it was. None of it was enjoyable for me. So, and that's an important thing too, guys. Like, if you look at doing something that you're excited about, doing some type of job that you're excited about, or you're looking at maybe doing a job that you're not excited about, there's always a trade-off. You have to be willing to ask yourself, okay, is the stuff that I am going to be working on, whether I love it or hate it, going to be worth the trade-off of time that I put into it? So, for example, if you were to get like a super high-paying job, and I'm just using this from an example that came recently in my head, guy that I found on YouTube recently called Pirate Software used to work for the Department of Energy, essentially finding vulnerabilities in the nuclear power plants of like the United States, and he would find vulnerabilities and they would patch them, and he was making a lot of money doing that. The exact amount that he was making is like not public knowledge from my understanding, but he has said, yeah, I was making a lot of money. And he said, and now he doesn't do that anymore. Like he quit because what he is now doing is developing video games. He runs a small video game studio called Pirate Software, and he does not make nearly as much money as he did when he was working for the Department of Energy. Why did he step away from it? Because he hated it. Like, he stayed there for the time that he did and earned the money that he did to purchase the house that he is now in. And then after he got his house, presumably it's paid off. I would assume. Maybe it's not, but now that he's in the place that he's in, he was like, all right, I want to make cool shit now. I want to do what I want to do. And what he wanted to do was make video games. And so he started doing that. So, like, he sacrificed in the short term so that he could do what he wanted longer term. Always be asking yourself that question. Is the sacrifice that I'm making now going to help me get to where I want to be down the road so that I can accomplish what I want to longer term at a later point? Ask that question every day.
Is what you are doing getting you closer to your long-term goals? At a sufficient rate, that is.
Alright. So let's join these clips. Whoopsies. Astra had not... Alright. Was a player scroll... Astra had... She pulled her ruined armor tighter. She pulled her... This pulled her... Which meant that he... Furthermore, he killed her with the... But since he'd taken it... Wait. She pulled... This pulled her... Oh, okay, there it is. I see fire, burning the trees. I see fire, hollowing souls. I see fire, burning the breeze. And I hope that you remember me. She heard footsteps approaching, but didn't. Of course, he knew. She heard footsteps. He pulled the knife out. He pulled out the knife again. He pulled... Alright, we'll do that. Chop that out. What do we got here? She couldn't even pull up. That was the old... She couldn't even... Chop that out. There we go. We got a cap here. Let's chop this cap down. Would you be reasonable? Would you be reasonable? She died in the south. Would you be reasonable? I implore you. I implore you. Let me turn this down for a sec. What do you hear? I implore you. I implore you to be reasonable. Forced your hand. Here we go. She'd had to drag his... I honestly need to do some soundproofing in this room. That's one thing that I need to do as well. There's just a little bit of an echo there that's like a little too noticeable for my liking. And I could probably get like some soundproofing panels off of Amazon for like really cheap. But wait. That had been... But, wait. But wait. Astra stare. And expose. and expose. I wouldn't do, and I wouldn't have. So light 'em up, light 'em up, light 'em up. I'm on fire. She was not. She wasn't. Divine brother. Divine brother. Divine brother. Oh, I guess I didn't put one there, but whatever. Divine brother. Blue robes fluttering. Divine brother, the young elven girl said. The holy mouth wishes to speak to you. Ears folding down. Ears folding down. Astra felt like she barely had them up at all today. Fine, she growled. Heather bowed to Xan. I still feel like the low levels on my voice are a little too high. I might need to drop them down a little bit more. Why do you call him? Astra asked. Why do you call him Divine Brother? Why do you call him Divine Brother? Astra asked as they turned right into a long hallway. This was a section she'd never been in before. Previous forays, side halls like this one, because he is one of the church, the girl said. He has had ample opportunity to become the Holy Mouth, but has declined the honor, remaining a brother within our order. You are lucky to have a person. You're lucky to have. There we go. Chop that down. He is a lonely soul. He is a lonely soul. One wall consists. Wait a minute. Entering. One wall consisted of shelves. Entering. Astra looked. Yeah, this clicker makes editing a lot faster. Alright, there we go. White rose. She turned to look. White road. She frowned. That jerk. Her tail lashed. That jerk knifed me. Alrighty, I'm gonna slap this there. Caleb Anderson. Wait a minute, hold on. What's the name of it again? Immortal Nox. Caleb Anderson, Immortal Nox. Alright, let's do this. Let's move this over here. Let's move this over here. Then let's move this. Wait, what? Move this over there. Move this over there. Then we go. No. Then we do the zoom it. What the fuck? Alright, join the clips. Then we're going to mute that, and we'll mute the front end as well, and then we'll mute the back end as well. Mute the back end. Then we're going to go Control A for all, effect, volume and compression, normalize, -4, apply. There we go, not bad. Looking alright there. Alright, now it's Immortal Nox. So file, save project as. We'll do new folder 16 Immortal Nox Immortal Nox _ Caleb Anderson. There we go. Save that. Now file, export audio, coursing river with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
You must be swift
There's a coursing river with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Bit of a harmony there. Browse. We go here. We go Immortal Nox. We slap that in there. Get that bad boy uploaded. Oh, we got some Skyrim music? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Why does it keep taking me there? Desktop. Leo. Delta Prime. ACX. Auditions. Immortal Nox. Save. Close. Copy. I copy. YouTube video narration. Oh, ACX. I don't know why I didn't have that one down there. Whatever. That's fine. Alright. Go here. Perfect fit to bring the world of Immortal Nox to life. Number one priority for all my clients is their satisfaction, and that satisfaction is something I know I can provide to you. If you have any questions, I would like to listen to any samples. Work. That'll make the decision easier. Feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience. Thank you for your time and consideration. Best regards. I'm gonna do this. Or would like. I'm gonna change this up a little bit. Or would like. Me to record any other samples. That'll make your decision easier. Best regards. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this in here.
I am complete.
I'm gonna just slap project name. I'm going to save that. There we go. Wait, you motherfucker. We challenge you to a rock-off. Give us one chance to rock your socks off. Alright, I just realized that that's listening as well, so I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to
Declining a rock-off challenge. What are your terms? What's the catch? If we win, you must take your sorry ass back to hell.
Alright, there we Mortal Nuts. Submit audition. There we go. Let's go back. Side launch, an epic novel of tragedy, victory, love, and loss. Canada must defeat Germany's dreaded sea wolves.
What?
I'm not really sure that I would really want to read that. What do we got? Avoiding Muddy Foxholes. The story of an American bombardier.
Rock off begin.
Let's turn that down a little bit. Learn German in your car. I'm not fluent in German by any means. Okay, I'm curious though. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. 82,000 words? Yeah, no way. I'm not doing 82,000 words and struggling through the pronunciations of German. Like, I know, generally speaking, like the like pronunciation patterns of German because I took a couple years of it, but I got a C both years. Social media marketing master. Yeah, maybe we could do this one. Holy, what a name, dude. The social media marketing master. Surefire strategies to go viral and spot trends so you can boost brand awareness, increase profits, stay current, and win loyal customers in 30 days. That's a mouthful. Holy moly. Oh boy. Come on, Cage, cause it's time to blow doors down. I hear your jingles, now it's time to blow doors down. Light up the stage, cause it's time for a showdown. We'll bend you over, then we'll take it around town. Now we've got to blow this fucking down. It's gonna break me if we do not blow doors down. Come on, Cage, cause it's time to blow doors down. We'll find dragon, it's time for a snack. Hey, it's a great start. Social media marketing master. We rock the cat's spine, blow your mind. We will defeat you for all mankind. You hold the scepter, we hold the key. You are the devil, we are the day. We are the day, 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 we are the day.
You guys are fucking lame. Come on, Cage, you're coming with me. Take my lightning, fucker. No! Oh, fuck. My fucking horn. Oh, no.
From whence you came, you shall remain until you are complete again. Alrighty. Let's turn this down a little bit. There we go. You know what we could do? This is what we could do. I don't know where my copy of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is right now. I think after this audition, we could start reading The Hobbit. I don't know if you guys would be interested in me reading The Hobbit to you, but we could read The Hobbit. It's been a long time since I've actually read it. It's been a very long time. There's dust accumulating on the cover. But I guess that's kind of the that is normal, I guess, for these books. Alrighty. Let's launch into this. Social media marketing is what it's called, right? Social media marketing master. Social media marketing master. Caleb Anderson, Social Media Marketing Master. Creating engaging content for TikTok, the art of going viral. TikTok videos that connect deeply with viewers usually bring originality, genuineness, and riveting topics that sync with popular trends. TikTok's interface may be complex for new businesses or creators to understand. What may be popular on other social media sites may not be on TikTok, but it's worth understanding the TikTok algorithm to win over Gen Z's hearts, and not only those. But it's worth understanding the TikTok algorithm to win over Gen Z's hearts, and not only those. Many businesses are interested in learning how to make a TikTok video go viral, since doing so can boost revenue and brand recognition. Here, we'll walk you through the creation of viral TikTok content. 1. Put creativity first. Be creative. Brands should always consider that when interacting with customers on websites like TikTok and Instagram Reels. Brands should always consider that. Brands should always consider that when interacting with customers on websites like TikTok and Instagram Reels. Viewers always appreciate brands that can display their ideas humorously and appropriately for the platform. Creativity is essential in TikTok. Users value original content that inspires them to think, laugh, or both. 2. Be authentic. Create something genuinely interesting by keeping it authentic and organic. Don't put too much emphasis on branding it. Instead, create something that would inspire a lot of user-generated content. TikTok prioritizes authentic, uncensored content over other networks. Users value brands that share authentic experiences or behind-the-scenes content, such as the fitness challenges offered by Gymshark or the hilarious office life videos produced by The Washington Post. 3. Jump on TikTok trends. Many social media trends started on TikTok. Keep up with the most recent TikTok trends if you want to learn how to go viral, because it's one of the most trend-driven social media platforms. Participating in challenges and trends can increase visibility. For instance, Chipotle launched its Guac Dance Challenge on National Avocado Day, which resulted in a ton of engagement and one of the best performing branded challenges on TikTok. 4. Work together with influencers to produce viral TikTok content. Working with influencers is a terrific technique to make your digital marketing campaigns more effective and grow your audience. The collaboration between Fortnite and well-known TikTok creators for the Emote Royale contest, where fans produced dances inspired by Fortnite for a chance to have their dance included in the game, is a perfect example. While corporations might utilize sponsored TikTok commercials to broaden their audience and boost sales, influencer-generated videos typically generate more meaningful engagement. Influencers on TikTok are familiar with viral trends and can provide helpful information about what genuinely interests your target audience. By including influential people in your TikTok marketing strategy, you may create native content that will enhance user experience. 5. Utilize appropriate TikTok hashtags. Users might think that utilizing the hashtags #FYP or #4U will increase the number of shares of their posts. Nevertheless, TikTok has never officially confirmed this idea, and using these hashtags doesn't guarantee that your video will go viral. On the other hand, if you use these hashtags, you might be unable to take advantage of keywords relevant to your niche and content. In order to get the most out of hashtags, pick a select few that are popular in your niche and combine trending hashtags with less well-liked ones. Mastering TikTok challenges for higher visibility. Challenges on TikTok are an effective approach to involve your audience and increase your presence. TikTok challenges entail making a video based on a specific theme or task, often with a particular music or dance. Participating in prevalent challenges can increase your visibility because viewers often look up videos related to a given challenge. Businesses can use a variety of unbranded organic TikTok challenges as a way of trend jacking to draw followers and potential customers. You can increase your TikTok influence by making a video based on a popular challenge, much like the Dolly Parton challenge. Keep an eye out for emerging trends so you can quickly produce your video if you want to make an impression with organic TikTok challenges. Here are two strategies for locating a challenge. Here are two strategies for locating a challenge. Here are two strategies for locating a challenge that complements your brand. 1. Check the For You page. When you create a TikTok account, the For You page will be pre-populated with recommendations for content you might like. As you start following accounts, this page will evolve similarly to how Instagram's Explore page does. Regularly checking your For You page can help you spot emerging challenges that are worth recreating on your business account. Be sure to follow TikTok influencers that your target market follows. 2. Check out the most popular sounds on TikTok. You can also locate the most prevalent challenges by visiting the app's Sounds section. You can get a list of the top trending sounds right there. You'll view videos that were produced using a sound after tapping on it. Look through the videos featuring those sounds to determine if any of them have recurring themes. Keep an eye out for editing techniques or repetitive dance motions. Brands can create their own challenge. For instance, the NFL launched the #GoingPro challenge, inviting users to post football practice session recordings. Context is a crucial component of creating your own TikTok challenge. While you can make many belly-laughing video memes using movie sound clips, be careful to have the context correct. For instance, if you want to advertise skincare products to women in Generation Z, think about incorporating snippets from recently popular songs that have a message of female empowerment or beauty. Make a list of the beauty-themed fandoms and films your target audience watched growing up and that they would find nostalgic, such as Mean Girls and The Princess Diaries. That was actually a near flawless read-through. I think the reason that feels so natural to me, like reading this in particular feels pretty natural because I read a lot of other types of content that is pretty similar to this for YouTube scripts. Not that this is like, it's a whole book, so I'm assuming that there's a higher degree of competence in the construction of the whole book as a whole. I'm just saying the style of delivery in this feels very, very similar to how things were with a lot of the YouTube stuff that I did. So I'm honestly not even gonna listen back to this one. I didn't listen back to the Nox one either. Whoops. Oh well, that's fine. I'm not gonna listen back to this one. I'm just gonna chop it up, edit, and then send it out. It'll be all right. But it's worth understanding. Here. Brands should always be one. Brands should always be creative. Brands should always. All right, there we go. Let's go over here. Here are two. I must confess that I feel like a monster. When you create a TikTok, as you start following it, I feel like a monster. While you can make just gonna mute this last part here. go. Mute that. Mute this. And I do Control A, effect, volume compression, normalize, -4. Bring the levels up a little bit. File, save project as. Social media marketing _ Caleb Anderson. There we go. File, export audio, browse. There we go. Save that. Export. All right. Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and send off this audition real quick, and then we'll call that good for the time being as far as just audiobook auditions go. Oh. Wow, 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 wow. Gone, passed away in time. Evil yours, now evil mine. So I robbed you blind. Bangers, dude. Bangers. Through and through. Alright, let's take this. Then I'm gonna snag this. Perfect fit for I'm just gonna say this project on this one. Control them all. Alright, we're gonna close that out. Okay, social media marketing. Yep, that is the right book. That's the right thing. Submit audition. We're good. Alright. I think we'll, Here, I kind of want to make a new scene specifically for audiobook readings. Like for when I'm reading an audiobook to you guys. So we're gonna go a little bit meta on this for a sec. Yeah. So what do we got here? We're going to say okay, now we're good. I think let me go to YouTube. I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit here. Fireplace or fireside. Fireplace. We'll just do a fireplace. Oh, we could do the Christmas background one. Hearth room. This is not what I'm looking at. Hearth room loop video. I don't know. I'm just searching random stuff. Okay, that's not. I'm not hearth. Fireplace room loop video. I don't know. As long as you're mine. Love it. What if I search room with fireplace GIF? Living room with fireplace GIF. We could use that. It is Christmas time. Been waiting all this time while we damn the dead are trying to survive. I still troll them all, one person at a time. This one's actually not bad. What do we got here? What's the resolution of this? Ooh, we could actually use that. I feel like we could actually use this. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna move this over here for a sec. Gonna go this PC, no desktop, there we go. Okay, hold on. It's not dark matter overlays. Let's go to locations. We're going to make a new folder for this. And we're gonna call this, what do we wanna call this? We wanna call this, storytelling room. We're gonna download that, and then we're going to make a new scene. We're gonna call this storytelling, and we are going to copy gaming display. No, that's gaming stuff. Face cam. I'm gonna copy both of these, and I'm gonna put them in here. New group. Add existing. Oh, wait. If I do camera group, does it... Oh, shit. I didn't realize that. That's actually so dope. That's good to know. I didn't realize that if you add like a whole group, it automatically just moves it all right away. We're going to transform. If I transform this and flip horizontal, does it flip it on this one? Okay, no, it doesn't. That's good. That's what I needed to know. Okay, now we're going to go add. Is this going to be considered a media source? Let's do fireplace. Fireplace room. Destiny's calling me, go down in history. Okay, we'll go to streaming tools. Okay, so it's an image then. It's got to be an image. So we're gonna remove that. We're gonna do add image. Fireplace. Browse. Where is it? Oh, wait, what? I'm gonna say transform fit to screen. I don't know if it, I don't think this particular format actually works. It doesn't look like this particular format works. Because I added it, but it's not showing up there. Well, that's a bummer. I can't use a GIF then. No, I totally can use a GIF because I've used GIFs in other things before. So how did I do this? Remove. Here, I'm gonna do a quick Google search. How to add GIF to OBS. How to put a GIF in OBS. Create a new source in OBS. Click the plus. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's a media source is what I have to add. I thought I just did that. Oh, I'm stupid. It's probably because I didn't loop it. Well, no, because it's not popping up here. I guess I could just do a browser source, but I feel like that's not as good. Remove, yes. So if I add a browser source, I'm gonna say Fireplace on this. And I do that. Fireplace in living room. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I was looking for. Damn it. Oh boy. And I decided to teach. Code copied. Why is that? How come it says I can embed it with that, but it's not actually giving me the embed? It's just like taking me back to the same page. That's stupid. That's not what I want. What if I do this? Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I can do that. We'll try one more time. We'll add a browser source and see what happens. Browser source. I'm just gonna say okay for now. Slap this on there. Hey, it did work. The hell? I'm assuming if I close it, it's fine. Oh! I can't believe that actually worked. Transform, fit to screen. Ah! Ah! Oh. No, we don't want that. We want it on its own. Okay, there we go. It's probably not the highest quality, but that's not the end of the world, I guess. I can't believe that actually worked. I didn't think that browser source was gonna... work, but hey. If it works, it works. Dope. I kind of want to change the way that my camera looks right now, though. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Probably too dark. No, it just makes me look ice cold. I think that's about the right warmth level. What if I... Whoa, it's too much. I put the contrast here, and I think I increase the white balance just a little bit more. I got a nice fat zit right there. It's really obnoxious. I hate it. We'll call that good for now. Oh, you can see that 30 FPS camera there, baby. It's looking great. Many times I tried. Okay, and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do fireplace. I'm gonna got cozy fireplace, 4K 12 hours. There we go. Now I need to know how loud is this in comparison to me. Now I need to know how loud is this in comparison to me. Now I need to know how loud is this in comparison to me. It doesn't sound like it's too loud. Is it just loud enough, you guys? Oh, lol. Tangy is hopping on and playing PUBG. That's funny. Alright, we got a little bit meta with that stuff there, but that's alright. Alright, so we're gonna move this back. And I'm just going to have this up. Make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Now it really kind of does look like there's a fireplace next to me. Nice. I'll take it. Alright. I'm also going to go to Spotify. And I'm going to turn this down. Actually, this is what I'm going to do. All right, here we go. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Here we are. Chapter 1. An Unexpected Party. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and oozy smells, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down or on to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened on a tube-shaped hole like a tunnel, a very comfortable tunnel without smoke, with paneled walls, and with floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs, and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on and on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as all people for many miles around called it, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side, then on another. No going upstairs for the hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these. Wardrobes, he had whole rooms devoted to clothes. Kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The best rooms were all on the left-hand side going in, for these were the only ones to have windows, deep-set round windows, looking over his garden and meadows beyond, sloping down to the river. This hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggins. The Bagginses had lived in this neighborhood of the hill for time. The Bagginses had lived in this neighborhood of the hill for time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they had never had any adventures or did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any question without the bother of asking him. This is the story of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing insane things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained, well, you will see whether he gained anything in the end. The mother of our particular hobbit, what is a hobbit? I suppose hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have become rare and shy of big people, as they call us. They are, or were, a little people, about half our height and smaller than the bearded dwarves. Hobbits have no beards. There is little or no magic about them except the ordinary, everyday sort, which helps them to disappear quietly and quickly when large, stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making a noise like elephants which they can hear a mile off. They're inclined to be fat in the stomach, they dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow, wear no shoes because their feet grow naturally leathery soles, and thick, warm brown hair, like the stuff on their beards, which is curly. Have long, clever brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deep, fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day when they can get it. Now you know enough to go on with. As I was saying, the mother of this hobbit, of Bilbo Baggins, was the famous Belladonna Took, one of the 3 remarkable daughters of the old Took, head of the hobbits who lived across the water, the small river that ran at the foot of the hill. It was often said in other families that long ago one of the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was of course absurd, but certainly there was still something not entirely hobbit-like about them, and once in a while members of the Took clan would go and have adventures. They discreetly disappeared, and family hushed it up, but the fact remained that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Bagginses, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, but not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, particularly with her money, that was to be found either under the hill or over the hill across the water, and there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side, something that only waited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived, until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you, until he had in fact apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning long ago in the quiet of the world... Hold on. What in the world? There we go. Sorry. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you, until he had in fact apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance one morning long ago in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins was standing at his door after breakfast smoking an enormous long wooden pipe that reached down to his woolly toes, nearly brushed, Gandalf came by. Gandalf? If you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard a very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He'd not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend of the old Took died. In fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. He had been away over the hill and across the water on business of his own since they were all small hobbit boys and hobbit girls. All that the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, a silver scarf over which his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining and the grass was very green. But Gandalf looked at him from under long, bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you mean to wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good on this morning? Or that it is a morning to be good on?" "All of them at once," said Bilbo. "And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry. We have all the day before us." Then Bilbo sat down on his seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful grey ring of smoke that sailed up into the air without breaking and floated away over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I am looking for someone to share in an adventure that I am arranging, and it's very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so. I should think so in these parts. We're plain quiet folk and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner, and I can't think what anybody sees in them," said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb behind his braces and blew out another even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite his sort, and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood leaning on his stick and gazing at the hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable, and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water." By this he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and that it won't be good until I move off." Not at all, my dear sir. Let me see. I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name. Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be good-morninged by Belladonna Took's son, as if I was selling buttons at the door. Gandalf, good gracious me, not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came loose until ordered? Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons? Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent fireworks? I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid! They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and lamburns of fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy around You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe, Also that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on, not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures? Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing in ships sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quiet. Bless me, life used to be quite I mean, you used to upset things badly in these parts, once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I had no idea you were still in business. And where else should I be? Said the wizard. All the same, I am pleased to find you remember something about me. You seem to remember my fireworks kindly, at any rate, and that is not without hope. Indeed, for your old grandfather Took's sake, and for the sake of poor Belladonna, I will give you what you asked for. I beg your pardon? I haven't asked for anything. Yes, you have. Twice now. My pardon, I give it to you. In fact, I will go so far as to send you on this adventure. Very amusing for me, and very good for you, and profitable too. Very likely, if you ever get over it. Sorry, I don't want any adventures, thank you. Not today. Good morning, but please come to tea any time you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow. Goodbye. With that, the hobbit turned and scuttled inside his round green door and shut it as quickly as he dared, not to seem rude. Wizards, after all, are wizards. What on earth did I ask him to tea for? He asked himself, as he went to the pantry. He'd only just had breakfast, but he thought a cake or two and a drink of something would do him good after his fright. Gandalf, in the meantime, was still standing outside his door and laughing, long but quietly. After a while, he stepped up, and with the spike on his staff, scratched a queer sign on the hobbit's beautiful green front door. Then he strode away, just about the time when Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think that he had escaped adventures very well. The next day, he had almost forgotten about Gandalf. He did not remember things very well unless he put them down on his engagement table. He did not remember things very well unless he put them down on his engagement tablet. Like this. Gandalf, tea, Wednesday. Yesterday he had been too flustered to do anything of the kind. Just before tea time there came a tremendous ring on the front doorbell, and then he remembered. He rushed and put on the kettle, and put on another cup and saucer, and an extra cake or two, and ran to the door. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting," he was going to say, I am so sorry to keep you waiting, he was going to say, when he saw that it was not Gandalf at all. It was a dwarf, with a blue beard tucked into a golden belt, very bright eyes under his dark green hood. As soon as the door was opened, he pushed inside just as if he had been expected. He hung his hooded cloak on the nearest peg, and "Dwalin, at your service," he said with a low bow. "Bilbo Baggins, at yours," said the hobbit, too surprised to ask any questions for the moment. When the silence that followed had become uncomfortable, he added, "I'm just about to take tea. Pray come and have some with me?" A little stiff, perhaps, but he meant it kindly. And what would you do if an uninvited dwarf came and hung his things up in your hall without a word of explanation? They had not been long at the table. In fact, they had hardly reached the third cake, when there came another even louder ring at the bell. "Excuse me," said the hobbit, and off he went to the door. "So you've gotten here at last." That's what he was going to say to Gandalf this time. But it was not Gandalf. Instead, there was a very old-looking dwarf on the step with a white beard and a scarlet hood, and he too hopped inside as soon as the door was open, just as if he had been invited. "I see they've begun to arrive already," he said, when he caught sight of Dwalin's green hood hanging up. He hung his red one next to it, and "Balin, at your service," he said with his hand on his breast. "Thank you," "Thank you," said Bilbo with a gasp. It was not the correct thing to say, but "they have begun to arrive" had flustered him badly. He liked visitors, but he liked to know them before they arrived, and he preferred to ask them himself. He had a horrible thought that the cakes might run short, and then he, as the host, he knew his duty to stuck to it, however painful, he might have to go without. "Come along in and have some tea," he managed to say, after taking a deep breath. A little beer would suit me better, if it's all the same to you, my good sir," said Balin with the white beard. "But I don't mind some cake. Seed cake, if you have any." "Lots. Lots," Bilbo found himself answering, to his own surprise, and he found himself scuttling off, too, to the cellar to fill a pint beer mug, and then to the pantry to fetch 2 beautiful round seed cakes which he had baked that afternoon for his after-supper morsel. When he got back, Balin and Dwalin were talking at the table like old friends. As a matter of fact, they were brothers. Bilbo plumped down the beer and the cake in front of them, when a loud ring came at the bell again, and then another ring. Gandalf for certain this time, he thought as he puffed along the passage. But it was not. It was 2 more dwarves, both with blue hoods, silver belts, and yellow beards, and each of them carried a bag of tools and a spade. In they hopped, and as soon as the door began to open, Bilbo was hardly surprised at all. "What can I do for you, my dwarves?" he said. "Kili, at your service," said one. "And Fili," added the other, and they both swept off their blue hoods and bowed. "At yours and your families." "At yours and your families," replied Bilbo, remembering his manners this time. Dwalin and Balin here already, I see," said Kili. "Let's join the throng." "Throng?" thought Mr. Baggins. "I don't like the sound of that. I really must sit down for a minute and collect my wits, and have a drink." He had only had just a sip in the corner, while the 4 dwarves sat round the table and talked about mines and gold and troubles with goblins and the depredations of dragons and lots of other things which he did not understand and did not want to, for they sounded much too adventurous, when ding-dong-a-ling-dang, his bell rang again, as if some naughty little hobbit boy was trying to pull the handle off. "Someone at the door," he said, blinking. "Some 4, I should say by the sound," said Fili. "Besides, we saw them coming along behind us in the distance." The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands and wondered what had happened and what was going to happen and whether they would all stay to supper. Then the bell rang again louder than ever, and he had to run to the door. It was not 4 after all. It was 5. Another dwarf had come along when he was wandering in the hall. He had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, "At your service," one after the other. Dori, Nori, Ori, Owen, and Glowin were their names, and very soon 2 purple hoods, a grey hood, a brown hood, and a white hood were hanging their pegs, and off they marched with their broad hands stuck into the gold and silver belts to join the others. Already it had almost become a throng. Some called for ale, and some for porter, and some for coffee, and all of them for cakes. So the hobbit was kept very busy for a while. A big jug of coffee had just been set in the hearth, the seed cakes were gone, and the dwarfs were starting on a round of buttered scones when there came a loud knock. Not a ring, but a hard rat-tat on the hobbit's beautiful green door. Somebody was banging with a stick. Bilbo rushed along the passage very angry and altogether bewildered and bewothered, and this was the most awkward Wednesday he'd ever remembered. He pulled open the door with a jerk, and they all fell in, one on top of the other. More dwarves. 4 more. And there was Gandalf behind, leaning on his staff and laughing. He made quite a dent in the beautiful door. He had also, by the way, knocked out of the secret mark he had put there the morning before. Carefully, carefully, he said, It's not like you, Bilbo, to keep friends waiting on the mat, and then open the door like a pop gun. Let me introduce Bifur, Bofer, Bomber, and especially Thorin. At your service, said Bifur, Bofer, and Bomber, standing in a row. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods and a pale green one, and also a sky blue one with a long silver tassel. This last belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf. In fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, who was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Bifur, Bofer, and Bomber on top of him. For one thing, Bomber was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty, and said nothing about service, but poor Mr. Baggins said he was sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray don't mention it," and stopped frowning. Now we're all here, said Gandalf, looking at the row of 13 hoods, the best detachable party hoods, and his own hat hanging on the pegs. Quite a merry gathering. I hope there is something left for the late corners to eat and drink. What's that? Tea? No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me. And for me, said Thorin. And raspberry jam and apple tart, said Bifur. And mince pies and cheese, said Bofer. And pork pie and salad, said Bomber. And more cakes and ale and coffee, if you don't mind, called the other dwarves in through the door. Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow. We'll reread that one. Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow, Gandalf called after him, and the hobbits stomped off the pantries. And just bring out the cold chicken and pickles. Seems to know as much about the inside of my larders as I do myself, thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed. And I feel like I'm, not hitting this, accent in the way that I need to. I feel like I'm struggling a lot with this accent right now. I feel like I'm being very inconsistent with it. It's hard because I'm jumping around from character to character and trying to, I'm trying to, map it all out in my head as I'm reading it, but I digress. Seems to know about as much about the inside of my larders as I do myself, thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed, and was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his house. By the time he had got all the bottles and dishes and knives and forks and glasses and plates and spoons and things piled up on big trays, he was getting very hot and red in the face, and annoyed. Confusticate and but bother these dwarves, he said aloud. Why don't they come and lend a hand? Lo and behold, there stood Balin and Dwalin at the door of the kitchen, and then Fili and Kili behind them, and before he could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlor and set everything afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the party with the 13 dwarves all around, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. His appetite was quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary and not in the least an adventure. The dwarves ate and talked, and time got on. At last they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. I suppose you will all stay for supper, he said in his politest, unpressing tones. Of course, said Thorin. And after, we shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first. Now to clear up. Thereupon the 12 dwarves, not Thorin, he was too important, and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all things. Off they went, not waiting for the trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on the top, with one hand, while the hobbit ran after them, almost squeaking with fright. Please be careful, and please don't trouble. I can manage. But the dwarves only started to sing. Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks, smash the bottles and burn the corks, The glass isn't cracked the place. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Cut the cloth and tread the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor. Leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Splash the wine on every door. Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl. Pound them up with a thumping pole. And when you've finished in any hole, send them down the hole to roll. There we go. There you go. And of course, they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned up and put away safe as quick as lightning, while the hobbit was turning round and round in the middle of the kitchen trying to see what they were doing. Then they went back and found Thorin with his feet on the fender smoking a pipe. He was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and whenever he told one to go, it went up the chimney, or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or round and round the ceiling. But wherever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! Pop! He sent a smaller smoke ring from his short clay pipe straight through each one of Thorin's. Then Gandalf's smoke ring would go green and come back to hover over the wizard's head. He had a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim light it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think how proud he had been yesterday morning of the smoke rings he had sent up the wind over the hill. "Now for some music," said Thorin. "Bring out the instruments." Kili and Fili rushed for their bags and brought back little fiddles. Dori, Nori, and Ori brought out flutes from the somewhere inside their coats. Bomba produced a drum from the hole. Bifur and Bofa went out too, and came back with clarinets that they had left among the walking sticks. Dwalin and Balin said, "Excuse me, I left mine in the porch. Just bring mine in with you." "Just bring mine in with you," said Thorin. "Just bring mine in with you," said Thorin. They came back with violas as big as themselves, with Thorin's harp wrapped in a green cloth. It was a beautiful golden harp, and when Thorin struck it, the music began all at once, so sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else, and was swept away into the dark lands under strange moons, far over the watery and far from this his hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room from the little window that opened the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April, and still they played on, while the shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. The dark filled all the room, and the fire died down, and the shadows were lost, and still they played on. And suddenly, first one, then another, began to sing as they played. Deep-throated singing of the dwarves in the deep places of their ancient homes. And this is like a fragment of their song, if it can be like their song without their music. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to seek the pale enchanted gold. The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells in places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow halls beneath the fells. For ancient king and elvish lord, there many a gleaming hoard they shaped and wrought, and light they caught, to hide in gems on hilt of sword. Goes on for quite a while, but I am going to move past it. As they sang, the hobbit felt the love of beautiful things made by hands and by cunning and by magic moving through him. A fierce and a jealous love, the desire of the hearts of dwarves. Then something Tookish woke up inside him, and he wished to go and see the great mountains, and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls, and explore the caves, and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. He looked out of the window. The stars were out, in a dark sky above the trees. He thought of the jewels of the dwarves shining in dark caverns. Suddenly, in the wood beyond the water, a flame leapt up. Probably somebody lighting wood fire. And he thought of plundering dragons settling on a quiet hill and kindling it all to flames. He shuddered, and very quickly he was playing Mr. Baggins of Bag End Underhill again. He got up trembling. He had less than half a mind to fetch the lamp, and more than half a mind to pretend to and go and hide behind the beer barrels in the cellar, and not come out again until all the dwarves had gone away. Suddenly he found that the music and singing had stopped, and they were all looking at him with eyes shining in the dark. "Where are you going?" said Thorin, in a tone that seemed to show he guessed both halves of the hobbit's mind. "What about a little light?" said Bilbo apologetically. "We like the dark," said all the dwarves. "Dark for dark business. There are many hours before dawn." "Of course," said Bilbo, and sat down in a hurry. He missed the stool and sat on the fender, knocking over the poker and shovel with a crash. "Hush," said Gandalf. "Let Thorin speak." And this is how Thorin began. "Gandalf, dwarves, and Mr. Baggins, we are met together in the house of our friend and fellow conspirator, this most excellent and audacious hobbit. May the hair on his toes never fall out, and all praise to his wine and ale." He paused for breath, and for a polite remark from the hobbit, but the compliments were quite lost on poor Bilbo Baggins, who was wagging his mouth in protest at being called audacious and, worst of all, fellow conspirator, though no noise came out. He was so flummoxed, so Thorin went on. "We are met to discuss plans, our ways, means, policy, and devices. We shall soon, before the break of day, start on our long journey. A journey from which some of us, or perhaps all of us, except our friend and counselor, the ingenious wizard Gandalf, may never return. It is a solemn moment. Our object is, I take it, well known to all of us. To the estimable Mr. Baggins, and perhaps one or two of the younger dwarves, I think I should be right in naming Keely and Feely, for instance, the exact situation at any moment may require a little brief explanation." This was Thorin's style. He was an important dwarf. If he had been allowed, he probably would have gone on like this until he was out of breath, without telling anyone there anything that was not known already. But he was rudely interrupted. Poor Bilbo couldn't bear it any longer. At may never return, he began to feel a shriek coming up inside, and very soon it burst out like a whistle of an engine coming out of a tunnel. All the dwarfs sprang up, knocking over the table. Gandalf struck a blue light on the end of his magic staff, and in its firework glare the poor little hobbit could be seen kneeling on his hearthrug, shaking like a jelly that was melting. Then he fell flat on the floor, and kept on calling out, struck by lightning, over and over again. And that was all they could get out of him for a long time. So they took him and laid him out of the way on the drawing-room sofa with a drink at his elbow, and they went back to their business. "Excitable little fellow," said Gandalf, and they sat down again. "Gets funny, queer fits, but he's one of the best. One of the best. As fierce as a dragon in a pinch." If you've ever seen a dragon in a pinch, you will realize this was only poetical exaggeration applied to any hobbit, even to Old Tuke's great-grand-uncle Borrora, who was so huge for a hobbit that he could ride a horse. He charged the ranks of the goblins of Mount Gram in the Battle of the Greenfields, and knocked their king Glorfimble's head clean off with a wooden club. It sailed 100 yards through the air and went down a rabbit hole. And in this way, the battle was won, and the game of golf invented at the same moment. In the meanwhile, however, Borrora's gentler descendant was reviving in a drawing-room. After a while, and his drink crept up nervously to the door of the After a while, and a drink, he crept up nervously to the door of the parlor. This is what he heard Glóin speaking. Or some snort more or less like that. "Will he do you think? It's all very well for Gandalf to talk about this hobbit being fierce, but one shriek like that in a moment of excitement and would be enough to wake... the dragon and all his relatives, and kill the lot of us. I think it sounded more like a fright than excitement. In fact, if it had not been for the sign on the door, I should have been sure we'd come to the wrong house. As soon as I clapped my eyes on this little fellow bobbing and puffing on the mat, I had my doubts. He looked more like a grocer than a burglar." Then Mr. Baggins turned the handle and went in. The Took side had won. He suddenly felt he would go without bed and breakfast to be thought fierce. As for little fellow bobbing on the mat, it almost made him really fierce. Many a time afterwards, the Baggins part regretted what he did now, and he said to himself, "Bilbo, you were a fool. You walked right in and put your foot in it." Pardon me, he said. "If I have overheard words that you were saying, I don't pretend to understand what you are talking about, or your references to burglars, but I think I am right in believing," this is what he called being on his dignity, "that you think I am no good. I will show you. I have no signs on my door. It was painted a week ago, and I am quite sure you have come to the wrong house. As soon as I saw your funny faces on the doorstep, I had my doubts, but treat it as the right one. Tell me what you want done, and I will try it. If I have to walk from here to the east of East and fight the wild werewolves in the last desert. I had a great-great-granduncle once, Borrora Took, and—" Yes, but that was long ago," said Glóin. "I was talking about you, and I assure you, there is a mark on the door. The usual one in the trade, or used to be. Burglar wants a good job, plenty of excitement, and reasonable reward. That's how it usually read. You can say expert treasure hunter instead of burglar if you like. Some of them do. It's all the same to us. Gandalf told us that there was a man of the sort in these parts looking for a job at once, and he had arranged for a meeting here this Wednesday, tea time." "Of course there is a mark," said Gandalf. "I put it there myself, for very good reasons. You asked me to find the 14th man of your expedition, and I chose Mr. Baggins. Just let anyone say I chose the wrong man or the wrong house, and you can stop at 13 and have all the bad luck you like, or go back to digging coal." He scowled so angrily at Glóin that the dwarf huddled back in his chair, and when Bilbo tried to open his mouth to ask a question, he turned and frowned at him and stuck out his bushy eyebrows till Bilbo shut his mouth tight with a snap. "That's right," said Gandalf. "Let's have no more argument. I have chosen Mr. Baggins, and that ought to be enough for all of you. If I say he is a burglar he is. or he will be when the time comes. There is a lot more in him than you guess, and a deal more than he has any idea of himself. You may possibly all live to thank me yet. Now, Bilbo, my boy, fetch the lamp, and let's have a little light on us." On the table, in the light of the big lamp with a red shade, he spread a piece of parchment rather like a map. This was made by Thror. This was made by Thror, your grandfather, Thorin. He said in answer to the dwarves... This was made by Thror, your grandfather, Thorin. He said in answer to the dwarves' excited questions. It is a plan of the mountain. I don't see how that will help us much, said Thorin disappointedly after a glance. I remember the mountain well enough, and the lands about it, and I know where Mirkwood is, and the withered heath, and where the great dragons bred. This is a dragon marked in red on the mountain, said Balin. This is a dragon marked in red on the mountain, said Balin, but it will be easy enough to find him without that, if we ever arrive there. There is one point you haven't noticed, said the wizard, and that is the secret entrance. You see that rune on the west side, and the hand pointing to it from the other runes? That marks a hidden passage to the lower halls. Look at the map at the beginning of the book, and you will see the runes in red. It may have been secret once, said Thorin, but how do we know that it is secret any longer? Old Smaug has lived there long enough now to find anything there is to know about those caves. He may, but we can't have used it for years and years. Why? Because it is too small. 5 feet high the door, and 3 may walk abreast, says the runes. But Smaug could not creep into a hole that size, not even when he was a young dragon. Certainly not after devouring so many of the dwarves and men of Dale. It seems a great big hole to me, squeaked Bilbo, who had no experience of dragons and only of hobbit holes. He was getting excited and interested again, so he forgot to keep his mouth shut. He loved maps, and in his hole there hung a large one of the country road with all his favorite walks marked on it in red ink. How could such a large door be kept secret from everybody outside, apart from the dragon? He asked. He was only a little hobbit, you must remember. In lots of ways, said Gandalf. But in what way this one has been hidden, we don't know without going to see. From what it says on this map, I should guess there is a closed door which has been made to look exactly like the side of the mountain. That is the usual dwarves' method. I think that is right, isn't it? Quite right, said Thorin. Also, went on Gandalf, I forgot to mention that with the map went a key. A small and curious key. Here it is, he said, and handed to Thorin a key with a long barrel and an intricate wards made of silver. Keep it safe. Indeed I will, said Thorin, and he fastened it upon a fine chain that hung about his neck and under his jacket. Now things begin to look more hopeful. This news alters them much for the better, so far as we have had no clear idea what to do. We thought of going east, as quiet and careful as we could, as far as the Long Lake. After that, the trouble would begin. A long time before that, if I know anything about the roads east, interrupted Gandalf. We might go from there up along the river running. We might go from there up along the river running, went on Thorin, taking no notice, and so to the ruins of Dale. The old town in the valley there, under the shadow of the mountain. But we none of us liked the idea of the front gate. The river runs right out through it. The river runs right out of it, through the great cliff at the south of the mountain, and out of it comes the dragon too, far too often, unless he has changed his habits. That would be no good, said the wizard. Not without a mighty warrior, even a hero. I tried to find one, but warriors are busy fighting one another in distant lands, and in this neighborhood heroes are scarce, or simply not to be found. Swords in these parts are mostly blunt, and axes used for trees, and shields as cradles or dish covers, and dragons are comfortably far off, and therefore legendary. That is why I settled on burglary, especially when I remembered the existence of a side door. And here is our little Bilbo Baggins, the burglar, the chosen and selected burglar. So now, let's get on and make some plans. We're getting semi-close to the end of the chapter. I think I'm actually just going to call that there. We'll probably come back to this at another point. We are 21 pages in. 21 pages in. Alright, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call that there. Oh, man. Oh. Oh, man. Alright, guys. I think we're going to wrap that up there. We've been going for pushing 4 hours now. I've been doing voiceover stuff for almost 4 hours today. That's pretty good. I'm also going to take a quick glance at my schedule for this week. And I'll let you guys know when I'm next going to be live. Real quick. And then I will also post that schedule in the Discord and on Twitter. So. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So schedule. Whoa, they updated it. Holy moly. Wait, what? Interesting. I thought I wasn't scheduled until Tuesday, but I guess they changed it up a little bit. Oh, wait, no, they didn't. That's last week's. Okay, no, I'm not scheduled tomorrow. Interesting. Okay, cool. I am all right with that. All right, I'll probably be live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. I will try to be on time this time around. But 11 a.m. Pacific time, and then I'm going to say Friday and Saturday are the other 2 days that I'm going to be live this week. I'm working a little bit more than I normally would. But yeah, let's plan for tomorrow, Monday, and then Friday and Saturday. I will say 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for all of those. If I make a change to that, that'll be in the Discord as well. So keep an eye out for it. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you stopping in. For everyone who stopped in on Twitch, on YouTube, Facebook, or Kick, I appreciate you guys stopping in and hanging out. This was kind of the first time we've ever done anything like this on stream, so feel free to give me any feedback that you have. I know it's probably a different type of thing than you're used to, but that is okay. That is not the end of the world. So thank you guys again. Is there anyone that we can drop a host on? Actually, I think we'll just wrap it up I'm just gonna wrap it up and call it good. Here we are. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think we're gonna be doing some gaming tomorrow. Gotta stick with our rotation. Gonna be doing some gaming. So, thank you guys again for hanging out. We will see you again before you know it. Keep it fresh, keep it funky. Have a good time. Do what you love. Pursue what you're passionate about. Talk to you guys later.